Good day, students. My name is Zishan Aslam. I teach business courses. Today, we are going to discuss Chapter 1 of International Business. The book that we are following is International Business, The New Realities by Tamer, Cavusgil, Gary Knight, John Riesenberger. Okay, before starting our lecture, I would ask you to subscribe my channel so that you are well updated with the new lectures that have been uploaded. Okay, let's start with our lecture. Before moving to that, let's discuss a very small scenario. For example, you are studying for your international business class at a local coffee shop. The manager of that coffee shop notices your textbook and give remarks. I don't get all that foreign business stuff. I don't pay much attention to that. I'm a local guy running a very small business. Thank goodness I don't have to worry about any of that. The manager's comments make you realize that there is much more to the business than just local concerns. What is the likely value chain of the coffee shop? For example, how did the variety of the coffee beans get there? What is the likely effect of market globalization on the coffee shops? Do technological advances play any role in the coffee value chain? Does globalization imply any negative consequences for the worldwide coffee beans industry? So there are multiple questions that come in our mind while discussing or while seeing this term international business. Let's get into this chapter and find out some of the answers of these questions. Okay, so this was the very small brainstorming session that we did. So let's get into what actually international business is. So international business refers to the performance of trade and investment activities by firms across national borders, right? So the key word here is national borders, right? So whatever the companies are doing which is spanning beyond the country's border is going to come under international business, right? So there are a lot of companies around you who are you can say kind of doing business activities with other companies from other countries, right? So that is all is going to come under international business. Today's agenda that we are going to cover in this chapter is we are going to look at some of the key terms of international business. What is the difference between domestic and international business? Third is who are actually the participants in international business, who are you can say kind of doing this practices, right? Fourth one is going to be why they participate in international business, and the last one, why we should learn international business. Okay, there are some of the very important element of international business. All of the things or all of the lectures that we are going to follow from here onwards, you are going to find out these some of the key terms that are being continuously repeating, right? So the very first thing is participants, right? So we are going to be continuously discussing the participants who are actively playing their role in international business. We are going to look at some of the entry strategies, how the companies are using those strategies to enter into international markets, globalization of market, international trade, international investments, and the risks of doing international business. Right. So these are some of the very key elements of international business that we are going to focus on later on. Okay. Right. So this is a very interesting picture, right? So you can see a lot of companies here, right? So this picture gives us an idea how globalized our world is right now, right? So we can see multinational enterprises or we can say multinational companies uh, doing trade activities in a lot of countries, right? So we are using a lot of products which are being imported from other countries, or some of the products that are being produced in our country, right, being exported to other country. Okay, so what is the difference between globalization and internationalization, right? So these are two terms which are being used interchangeably, but there is a lot of difference between these two terms. Internationalization, right? So internationalization is the tendency of the companies to systematically increase the international dimension of business activities. So if we refer to internationalization, that is going to be relating to companies. On the other side, globalization is ongoing economic integration and growing interdependencies of countries worldwide. Here the key word is countries. So the internationalization is going to be used for companies while globalization is going to be used for countries. Right? So the very first definition that of globalization is there are some of the terms or which are very important here are economic integration and growing interdependency. We can now witness that there are a lot of countries who are interdependent on other countries or who are depending on other countries for lot of things, right? Or for example, aid. For example, you are or a lot of countries are importing a lot of products or services which are very crucial for those countries. Like for example, we can say crude oil, right? So crude oil is a very important product for a lot of countries because that is being converted into petrol, diesel, kerosene, which is being used in vehicles, right? So I hope you have now understood the difference between globalization and internationalization. Globalization refers to the interdependencies of the countries, while on the other side, internationalization refers to the tendency of the companies to increase their businesses across borders. Okay, let's look at some of the key concepts of international business. You might be well aware of some of these terms that we are going to discuss here in this slide. Let's start with international trade. So international trade refers to the exchange of products and services across national borders, typically through exporting or importing. Now let's look at what exporting is. Exporting is sale of products or services to customers located abroad from a base in the home country or a third country. If we take an example, right, so we can say Saudi Arabia is exporting crude oil to, you can say, United Kingdom, right? So it is one product moving from one country to another country. On the other side, what importing is? Importing is procurement of products or services from suppliers located abroad for consumption in the home country, right? So it we can refer to as when we are bringing some products into our country from another country. So we can, if we talk about any example, so United States of America is importing crude oil from Saudi Arabia. So that can be an example of importing. Okay, while on the downside, there is international investments. International investments is the transfer of assets to another country or acquisition of assets in that country. So under this, there are two types. One is international portfolio investments, which means that this is passive ownership of foreign securities such as stocks and bonds for purpose of generating financial returns. So key term here is portfolio investment, right? So for example, we usually buy stocks and bonds in our local market as well, right? So that is being called as portfolio, right? So same is applying here in international market where you are buying stocks and bonds of international companies. While on the other side, foreign direct investment, that refers to internationalization strategy in which the firm establishes a physical presence abroad through acquisition of productive assets such as capital, technology, labor, land, plant, and equipment, right? So this word FDI we might have heard a lot of time in the newspaper. Like for example, a lot of countries they are receiving FDI from international countries or other countries beyond border, right? So this FDI means international companies they are bringing in their capital into your market by buying some of the physical space, means a plant or offices or branches, right? So this is what FDI is. Okay, now the very most important question that comes into our mind is, are only products being exported or imported? That's wrong. Services are the next thing that are being imported or exported. For example, architectural and construction services are the very first thing that are being exported or imported. For example, Skidmore or Owings and Merrills gave their architectural services for Burj Khalifa. The next thing is banking services. We might have seen a lot of international banks working in our local market. For example, Bank of America, HSBC, Barclays, Standard Chartered, etc. The third thing is education and training. So you might have seen a lot of education companies or institutions working in your country, right? Providing a lot of services like languages, testing, etc. Entertainment. That is the very most important service that is being exported. Like for example, a lot of movies that we watch in our cinemas are being shot abroad or being produced by international companies like Time Warner, Sony, Virgin, MGM. Okay. Information services like e-commerce, email, fund transfer, data interchange, right? So there are a lot of companies like Microsoft, Cisco, Qualcomm, Hitachi. They're providing these kind of services to international firms or even consumers located abroad. Professional business services like accounting, advertising, legal, management consultancy, right? So there are a lot of companies like Ernst and Young, like Deloitte. They are providing professional services to a lot of companies abroad. Transportation services, that is very important, like aviation, like railroads, trucking, airports, ocean shipping, right? So we have seen a lot of international shipping companies. They are providing their shipping services almost all of the countries across the world, right? Airlines, right? We see a lot of international airlines coming into our country, like for example Emirates, Etihad, right? Or Qatar Airways. The last one is travel and tourism, right? So we see a lot of travel and tourism companies working in our country, right? Providing services like lodging, food and beverages, right? Or travel services, right? Or travel consultancy, right? Or vacation planning, right? So these are some of the examples of services being exported, right? So the very first question that we ask, are only the products being exported or imported? No, the services are the very next thing, or you can say simultaneously being exported or imported. Okay, these are some of the terms which a lot of students confuse, right? So first thing is domestic marketing, international marketing, export marketing, and multi-domestic marketing, right? So we can easily distinguish between domestic marketing and international marketing, while there is a lot of confusion between international marketing, export marketing, and multi-domestic marketing. So let's see what is the key difference between these four terms. So domestic marketing are the activities that are aimed in the firm's domestic market, right? So whatever marketing campaigns that you are seeing by local companies is going to be coming under domestic marketing. Then comes export marketing. For example, a company is selling products abroad, right? And they are just shipping it to that country, right? So besides shipping, they are also providing some of the marketing material like brochures, like how to use that product, right? So all these things are going to be coming under export marketing, right? The very next step after export marketing is when the company's products are being accepted and they are being asked by the local consumers. So the company's main motive are now to provide localized marketing to those consumers who are consuming the products in that export market, right? So here the companies is offering some of the customized marketing campaigns, right? Maybe in their local languages, right? Or maybe in their with respect to their local culture, right? So that is going to be coming under international marketing. Okay, now let's come to multi-domestic marketing. Multi-domestic marketing strategies are being pursued by multinational companies. So MNC means multinational companies, right, who operate in more than one countries. So these are the marketing strategies, or it is not necessary that they apply different marketing strategy to all the different countries. So there can be some countries who you can utilize same marketing material in more than one country, like which means that their local languages are similar, their culture is similar, right? Or their values and customs are similar. For example, India and Pakistan, so they can share similar kind of languages. So we see a lot of multinational companies like Unilever and P&G applying similar marketing campaigns in India and Pakistan, right? So this example of strategy being applied by multinational companies is going to be coming under multi-domestic marketing. Okay, now there are some of the key risks of international business, right, which differentiates from local business, right? So you can say in local business there are simultaneously risks involved, right? But in international business, these four risks are amplified, right? So very first risk that an international company faces is cross-cultural risk, right? Second risk is country risk, right, which is related to the country's political and legal system. The third risk is currency, or you can say financial risk related to the currency exposure and financial strength of that country. The fourth one is commercial risk, which is related to all the operational risks, or you can say a relationship with the partners in that country, right? So these are the four major risks of international business, which we are going to cover each of them in a separate chapter. Okay, participants in international business. In the very first agenda slide, we were discussing who are going to be the participants who are playing a key role in international business. So there are four major participants of international business. Very first is MNE, or you can say multinational enterprise. So these are large companies with substantial resources, and they are operating in more than one countries in terms of subsidiaries, in terms of branches, right, or in terms of affiliates in multiple countries. So they, you can say these are the companies who have substantial resources, or you can say they are large companies in terms of employees, in terms of cash, in terms of capital. The second thing is SME, or small and medium enterprise, right? So these are the companies who have 500 or fewer employees. So this definition is referred to as, you can say, or you can say is defined in terms of Canadian and US market. While we can see there, if we compare with uh, poorer countries, right? So in poor country, a company who has 500 or fewer employees, or even 500 employees, that is going to be considered as a large company. So these definitions vary from country to country, right? For example, if it's a poor country, right, so maybe we can refer to an SME with an employee base of 5 to 10, right, or you can say maximum 50, right? So these definitions vary from country to country. The third one is born global firm, right? So this is a very interesting term, born global firm, right? So who these companies are? They are young entrepreneurial companies, right? So entrepreneurship, right? The key word, which is very, you can say, kind of important these days, right? So these are entrepreneurial companies that initiate international business activity. Simultaneously, they move into international market in a very early life of their evolution, right? So you might have came across with a lot of companies who are doing their business activity for 50 years or so, right? And after 50 years of their operation, they think now it is the right time to move into international market, right? So that is a you can say a common practice that companies follow. While on the other side, these companies who are going to be falling under born global firm, they very in you can say very early of their evolution stage, like in a year or two, right, they move into international market, right? So that those companies are going to be termed as born global firm. Example of these firms can be Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, right? So these companies, right, if you see their, you can say, life cycle of the growth, right, you might you can say kind of understand that in a very early life, right, they expanded into multiple countries, right? So they are going to be termed as born global firm. The fourth category is government and NGOs, right? So government and NGOs are the fourth participant in, or fourth category of participant in international business. So these are large entities, right, as compared to all the three entities that we discussed above, right, in terms of buying volumes. For example, you can see the NGOs who are buying products or medical services from other countries, or sourcing medical services from other countries, right? So the quantum of, or you can say the volume of buying is quite huge, right? So they are also participating in international business, right? Okay, now let's look at why do firms internationalize. The very first point is to seek opportunities for growth, right? So there are a lot of companies who are operating in local market, and they are operating for 30 to 40 years, for example, right? So there comes a point where their markets start to saturate, right? So this gives them a motivation to expand their market into different countries, so that they can utilize their capacity, right, or they can sell to different markets. The next point comes is earn higher margins. So when you export, it means that you are going to be bringing in international currency or foreign currency into your local country, right? Simultaneously, the exchange rate is going to give you better margins, right? So you are, or you can say, when you are going to utilize the additional capacity or extra capacity that you have, right? So that is going to give you higher margins. Third point is to gain new ideas about products and services, right? So there's, at certain times, companies have their motives to gain new ideas, or new ways to improve their products or services when they are going into international market, right? So that means they are going to be exposed to new technologies, right, which can give them better advantages, or they can which can give them better avenues to improve their products and services which they are offering in local market as well, right? Fourth point is serve better, serve key customers in a better way, right? So for example, when your partner relocates themselves to an international market, so your company's motive are also going to be to move yourself to that country, so that you can better serve your key customers, right? So for example, many oil companies, they relocate themselves to international market where there is more oil resources. So simultaneously, banking companies are also going to relocate themselves, so that they can their customers can have easy access of financial resources. Fifth point is be closer to supply sources. For example, there is a company in China whose major raw material is being explored or extracted in Brazil, right? So it is better to open up a branch in Brazil, so that you can have easy access of those minerals, right, in Brazil, rather than importing that material from Brazil to China, which can take approximately 45 to 50 days of shipping time, right? So it is better to be closer to your supply sources, which can give you benefit in terms of global sourcing, or give you better flexibility. Sixth point is gain access to lower cost, right? So there are a lot of countries where factor of production is cheaper, right? For example, China, which is you can say, which has a very peculiar advantage in terms of labor cost, right, or infrastructure, or utilities, right? So a lot of companies, they have motive to shift their production facility to China, so that they can access to lower cost. Seventh point is develop economies of scale, right? So whenever you are expanding into international market, so simultaneously you are going to be utilizing your plant capacity to the fullest, right? Or even you are going to be expanding your plant capacity, which is going to give you economies of scale, in terms of, not in terms of sourcing, but in terms of production, in terms of marketing, and in terms of research and development, because now you are going to be selling to larger masses, right, as compared to domestic market. Eighth point is confront international competitors, right? So it is better It is better that you can directly confront your international competitors when you go into international market, rather than they coming into your country, right? So some of the companies, they pursue, you can say, kind of offensive strategies to confront international competitors, and they directly compete with them, so that simultaneously they are improving their product quality, improving their cost, improving their prices, right? Ninth point is invest in potentially rewarding relationship with foreign partners. Right. So whenever you are working in international market, you come across with a lot of international partners in terms of distributors, in terms of retailers, in terms of wholesalers, and later on you find out that they are the companies who you can trust on. Right. So simultaneously you think to broaden your relationship with those clients. Right. So you maybe opening up later on local branches in that country with the help of those foreign partners. Okay, now let's look at why you should study international business. So being an international business professional, you are going to be facilitating global economy, right? Simultaneously giving your company where you are working interconnectedness with international suppliers, international buyers, or your key partners. Second one is you are going to be contributing to national economic well-being. For example, you are a key account manager and you are handling some of the key export portfolios, right? So simultaneously, when you are selling, you are bringing in foreign currencies, which is going to help your country build up foreign reserves or foreign currency reserves. Third point is competitive advantage for the firm. Right, when you are selling into international market, that means there is going to be an additional advantage for your firm in terms of selling, in terms of profit, in terms of building new resources or improving product quality, so that product quality improvement can lead to some competitive advantages. Fourth one is competitive advantage for you as well, right? So not only your firm where you are working, but you as well, because now you're going to be learning new things in terms of strategies, in terms of how the trade and activities are being done, in terms of what is going around in the world, right? So now you're going to be well aware of all the scenarios, all the new activities, or all the new researches that are being done worldwide in that domain that you are working. So that is also going to be a competitive advantage for you. Fifth one is an opportunity to support sustainability and corporate citizenship. Right. So simultaneously, you are also going to be helping to support sustainability. Right, and you are also going to be performing well as a citizen in the local society. Right. So this brings us to the end of this chapter. I hope this chapter would have clarified your concepts of what international business is, what is the difference between domestic and international marketing, who are the participants in international business, why do firms internationalize, and what is the difference between domestic marketing and international marketing. So we are going to meet for lecture 2, which is globalization in international market. So before closing this lecture, I would again request you to subscribe this channel so that you are well aware of when the next lecture is uploaded. Thank you.